On my wedding day, my fiancé's childhood best friend showed up at the reception wearing the exact same custom Tom Ford suit as me. I watched them stand together by the entrance, greeting our guests. I kept my expression neutral. "You two look like the perfect couple," I said, loud enough for them to hear. The friend, Liam, stormed off in a huff. But she, my bride, turned and, in front of everyone, called me petty and thin-skinned. After the reception, she and Liam left together for the honeymoon we were supposed to take. Our trip to Maui. I didn't argue. I just pulled out my phone and called my lawyer. By the time I'd dealt with everything and gotten home, it was well past midnight. Pale moonlight streamed into the living room, bathing everything in a cold, sterile glow. I dragged my exhausted body to the bedroom and stared at the white ribbons and dried rose petals still scattered around the room from the morning's preparations. It was all a bitter joke. The celebratory mess was still on the bed, but I was too tired to care. I swept the silk ribbons aside and collapsed onto the soft mattress. Plugging in my phone, my screen lit up, and I happened to see Chloe's latest Instagram story. A picture of Liam with his arm wrapped tightly around her. They were staring into each other's eyes, their faces so close they were about to kiss. On their hands, a matching set of Cartier love rings. The caption read, "Some things are just meant to be." The old me would have blown up her phone, driven over there, demanded an explanation. But now, I just stared at it for a moment, then quietly turned my phone off. I rolled over and went to sleep. For the next several days, I heard nothing from Chloe. My only updates came from Liam's incessant Instagram posts. Them kissing on a beach, posing for selfies at a luau, shopping in Lahaina. It didn't bother me. I was too busy coordinating with my lawyer, preparing the divorce papers. Chloe and I had been together for 8 years, ever since college. While the wedding was recent, we'd actually gotten legally married at the courthouse right after graduation, a spontaneous decision fueled by cheap champagne and the belief that our love was forever. There was no big ceremony back then, but I'd bought the ring, we'd pooled our savings for a down payment, and I'd given her all the love I had. Now, that love had been ground down to nothing, leaving only the wreckage. About 2 weeks later, I was at home, reviewing the first draft of the divorce settlement on my laptop, when I heard the front door open. I looked up. It was Chloe, walking and holding Liam's hand. Our eyes met. A flash of guilt, or maybe just awkwardness, crossed her face. She quickly dropped his hand. "Liam's never been to Hawaii, so I took him," she said, her tone unnaturally casual. "You were so busy with the company anyway, so I figured," she trailed off. I dropped my gaze back to the document on my screen and nodded, my voice flat. "Okay, Phoenix." Her own explanation seemed to catch in her throat. She stared at me, waiting for a reaction I wasn't giving her. My silence seemed to infuriate her more than any argument would have. "Are you serious?" she snapped, her voice rising. "I already told you, he's never been. Besides, we can go on a honeymoon anytime. Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" Before she could launch into her usual defense, I cut her off, my voice weary. "I know. He's just like a brother to you." I looked up at her, my face a perfect mask of calm. The lack of anger seemed to fuel hers. She frowned, her expression a mix of frustration and disbelief. "Then what is your problem?" "I'm busy," I said, turning my full attention back to the laptop, effectively dismissing her. Liam, ever the opportunist, stepped forward and put a comforting arm around Chloe's shoulders. "Hey, Ethan, don't be mad," he said, his tone dripping with false sincerity. "You know Chloe and I just grew up together. Besides, even though you couldn't come, she brought a gift back for you." He turned to Chloe, his smile saccharine. "Chloe, why don't you show Ethan what you got him?" Chloe, seizing the olive branch, rummaged in her designer bag and pulled out a small, elegant box. She opened it and slid it across the coffee table toward me. "I bought this for you. Take a look." She looked proud, as if I should be grateful. I glanced down. Inside the box was a pair of sterling silver cufflinks, inlaid with small diamonds and blue lapis. They were tasteful, if a little generic. I looked at them for a second before pushing the box back toward her. "No, thanks. I'm not really into free gifts with purchase." The atmosphere in the room froze. Chloe's face fell. "Ethan, what the hell is that supposed to mean?" I met her gaze evenly, then flicked my eyes to the brand-new, six-figure Patek Philippe on Liam's wrist. "It means exactly what it sounds like. I said, my voice dangerously quiet. You buy him a watch that costs more than my car, and you bring me the promotional freebie that came with it. Is that what you think I'm worth? The complimentary gift? Chloe looked stunned that I call her out so bluntly. It was Liam who recovered first, smirking as he feigned concern. Whoa, Ethan, don't be upset. Chloe only gave this to me because I loved it so much. If you're really this unhappy, I can give it back. It's not worth you two fighting over me. He said the words, but his hand stayed firmly at his sides. He looked at Chloe with a pained expression, then shot me a look of pure, triumphant mockery. Chloe immediately tightened her grip on his arm. Liam, don't listen to him. I gave it to you. It's yours, she said, glaring at me. He's always like this. So petty, always keeping score. I just looked at them, a perfect picture of misplaced loyalty, and turned back to my laptop. My indifference was the final straw. Chloe's face hardened. She grabbed Liam's hand and pulled him toward the door. As they left, she slammed it shut behind them with a resounding bang, a final, childish act of defiance. She was waiting for me to come running, to apologize, to smooth things over like I always did. It was a dance we'd done 100 times before, my forgiveness enabling her increasingly brazen behavior. This time, I didn't even look up. I just calmly added the estimated cost of a Patek Philippe watch to the list of shared assets she'd have to account for in the divorce. Not long after they left, my parents called and asked me to come over for dinner. I agreed. When I pulled up to their house in the suburbs, I saw Chloe's car already in the driveway. She was waiting on the porch. Seeing me, she looked uncomfortable but put on a brave face. Ready to go in? She asked. I just nodded and walked past her into the house. Dinner was painfully awkward. My parents were clearly still angry about the wedding day fiasco and were giving Chloe the cold shoulder. Normally, I would have played peacemaker, trying to smooth things over. Tonight, I just let her sit there and squirm in the silence. After dinner, I was about to call an Uber when Chloe pulled her car around to the front. I got in without a word. As I sat down, I noticed a small, laminated sticker on the dashboard above the glove compartment. Liam's seat. Chloe cleared her throat. He insisted on putting that there. She explained, not looking at me. It's just a joke, and you usually drive your own car anyway. I nodded, my voice devoid of emotion. Right, the honeymoon phase. Chloe's brow furrowed, but before she could say anything, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my lawyer. I focused on my screen, ignoring her completely. By the time I looked up, she had parked in front of a sprawling modern mansion in a gated community. The party was already in full swing. I just gotten out of the car when Liam appeared at the doorway and pulled Chloe into a dramatic hug. Chloe, God, I missed you. Did you miss me? He crooned, loud enough for me to hear. Seeing me, Chloe looked embarrassed and tried to push him away as he leaned in to kiss her cheek. Stop it. We're not kids anymore, she mumbled. Liam shot a smug look over her shoulder at me. So what? You'll always be my little sister, won't you? I ignored their little performance and walked inside. On a large digital screen by the entrance, a slideshow was playing on a loop. It was a collection of photos of Liam and Chloe. Chloe and Liam watching a sunrise, wrapped in the same blanket. Chloe feeding Liam a piece of cake at a restaurant. And the grand finale, a blurry but unmistakable photo of them locked in a passionate kiss. I stood there for a moment, watching it cycle through. Chloe rushed to my side. Ethan, they're not what they look like. It's a misunderstanding. Please, don't be angry. I turned to look at her. The panic in her eyes was real, but so was the lie. I nodded slowly. No, they're good pictures. You two look happy. Her frown deepened. You're not mad. No, just then my phone rang. It was my doctor's office, calling to discuss my hospital admission for the next day. I'd gone for a routine physical a few weeks back. They'd found something on the scan of my stomach. Now, the results were in. I walked away to take the call, leaving Chloe standing alone in front of the slideshow of her own betrayal. When I finished the call and returned to the party, I found Chloe in the middle of the scene. She was standing protectively in front of Liam, shouting at another guest. From what I could gather, the man had accidentally spilled a few drops of his drink on Liam's sleeve, and Chloe was demanding a formal apology. A wave of déjà vu washed over me. I remembered a company gala a few years ago. Liam, drunk and clumsy, had shoved me as I walked past a pyramid of champagne glasses. I lost my balance and crashed into the tower. Glass shattered everywhere. Champagne and blood soaked my suit. I looked to Chloe for help, but she had stormed over, her face contorted with rage, and screamed at me in front of hundreds of people. "Can't you watch where you're going? Are you blind?" she had shrieked. "Do you have any idea how important tonight is? I don't know why I'm with someone so useless. If I were you, I'd be too embarrassed to be alive." The memory, sharp and bitter, snapped me back to the present. Watching her defend Liam with the same ferocity she'd once used to tear me down, I felt a profound, chilling sense of clarity. It was laughable. I turned around and walked out of the party without a word. Chloe didn't come home that night. I wasn't surprised. It wasn't the first time. The next morning, as I was getting out of the shower, she walked in, carrying a bag of takeout breakfast. Liam was trailing behind her like a shadow. When she saw me, she set the food on the table and launched into a well-rehearsed explanation. We stayed out too late, and I was scared to come home alone, so I just crashed at Liam's. "You're not mad, are you?" Liam draped an arm over her shoulder, his eyes glinting with provocation. "Yeah, Ethan, you're not mad, are you?" I just nodded, saying nothing. My silence seemed to unnerve Chloe. She gestured toward the breakfast. "Hey, remember that movie you wanted to see? The new sci-fi blockbuster? I'm free today. I can take you." The movie had been out for weeks, garnering rave reviews. I'd asked her to go with me half a dozen times, but she was always too busy with work. A few days after my last attempt, I saw Liam's post on Instagram. It was a picture of two interlocked hands holding ticket stubs. The caption read, "The best movies are for the best people." I recognized her hand instantly. Now, smelling the faint, cloying scent of Liam's cologne on her, I shook my head. "Can't. I have plans." A flicker of guilt crossed her face. "Oh, well, we can go another time." Three before she could finish, Liam plopped down on our sofa and smirked at me. "What kind of plans, Ethan? You're not meeting up with that old college friend of yours, are you?" I glanced at him, confused. No one knew my lawyer was an old classmate from undergrad. Seeing my expression, Liam put on a show of concern, turning to Chloe. "Chloe, honey, don't get upset. But a buddy of mine said he saw Ethan at a coffee shop the other day with his old college flame. Said they looked pretty." He paused for dramatic effect. "Cozy." He quickly added, "But my friend was probably mistaken. Ethan loves you too much to ever cheat on you." The words hit their mark. Chloe's face clouded over. With a cry of rage, she swept a vase off the end table, shattering it on the floor. She whirled on me, her eyes blazing. "Ethan Hayes, you blew me off to go sneak around with some other woman? Have you no shame?" I stared at the broken porcelain on the floor. Before I could speak, Liam stepped in, the picture of magnanimity. "Chloe, calm down. Let's not jump to conclusions. Ethan wouldn't. I mean, it's not his fault. After all, his own mother was the one who had an affair, and he didn't get to finish." I grabbed the tissue box from the table and hurled it at his head. I could take the insults, but he wasn't going to bring my mother into it. The corner of the box struck his temple, leaving an angry red mark. Chloe rushed to his side, cradling his head like he'd been shot. She glared at me, her voice dripping with venom. "I am so disappointed in you, Ethan. Even if Liam was wrong, you don't get to put your hands on him." She was about to continue her tirade when I cut her off. "So you know he was lying?" Chloe froze, her face a mixture of anger and embarrassment. She recovered quickly, her expression hardening into self-righteous indignation. "Yes, I knew. I was there. I saw you," she spat. "But that doesn't matter. You don't get to be violent. Apologize to Liam. Right now, or we're getting a divorce." A cold numbness spread through me. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw a stranger. "Chloe," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Do you even hear yourself?" She scoffed. "Of course I do, Ethan. Now, are you going to apologize or not? This is your last chance." I laughed. A dry, humorless sound. I walked over to my briefcase, pulled out the divorce papers my lawyer had prepared, and threw them on the coffee table in front of her. "Let's go," I said. "We can go right now." Chloe stared at the document, titled Petition for Dissolution of Marriage. The color drained from her face. "Ethan, I know you're emotional right now," she said, her voice suddenly strained. "We just got married. You're not thinking clearly. It's okay. I can forgive you for this." I just looked at her, my silence a heavier blow than any words. "Am I not thinking clearly, Chloe?" I asked softly. "Or are you?" Her jaw tightened. Liam, still lurking by the door, started to say something, but Chloe shot him a look that silenced him. "Liam, we need to talk. Can you wait outside?" He hesitated, his eyes darting to the settlement agreement, but Chloe firmly pushed him out the door. The moment he was gone, her entire demeanor shifted. Her voice became soft, pleading. "Ethan, I know you're upset that I'm so close to Liam, but I promise you, I only see him as a brother. You're my husband." She gestured vaguely around the room. "We just got married. What will people think if we get a divorce already?" I didn't respond. I just watched her. "Chloe, you don't love me," I said simply. "We're getting divorced. I'm making room for Liam. Aren't you happy?" She snatched the papers off the table. "How can you say I don't love?" Her phone buzzed with a custom ringtone. "Liam." I didn't have to look. Her eyes met mine. She hesitated for only a second before answering. I couldn't hear what he said, but her expression changed to one of alarm. "Liam's been in an accident," she said, grabbing her purse. "I have to go." She paused at the door and leaned in as if to kiss me. I turned my head away. She froze, her face flushed with humiliation. "Ethan, I swear, after this, I'll set boundaries with him. I promise." I bent down and picked up the divorce papers from the floor. "I forgot to tell you," I said, my voice flat. "They found a tumor during my physical. My surgery is tomorrow morning at 9. You should be there." For she looked at me, stunned, her hand hovering in the air as if to touch my face. I recoiled, and her hand fell back to her side. She just stood there, speechless, until her phone buzzed again, a frantic summons from the man she was rushing to save. She made her choice. With one last, conflicted look at me, she turned and walked out the door, leaving me alone. I didn't say another word. I just opened my phone, deleted her number, and blocked her on every platform. The next morning at 9, Chloe wasn't there. It was okay. My parents were. They walked me to the surgical wing and watched with worried eyes as the nurses wheeled me away. The operating room was freezing. The cold air on my skin was nothing compared to the icy touch of the surgical instruments. As the anesthesia took hold, the world faded to black. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. My mom and dad were sitting by my side. The moment my mom saw my eyes open, hers filled with tears. "Ethan, honey," she whispered, squeezing my hand. "Does it hurt?" I managed a weak smile. "They gave me the good stuff. I don't feel a thing." My mom looked like she wanted to say more, but my dad, who had been sitting silently, finally spoke, his voice firm. "You're divorcing her. This is over." I nodded. "I know, Dad." My mom, bless her heart, was a worrier. Even though the tumor turned out to be benign, she was terrified of complications. Every day, she brought home-cooked meals to the hospital. Under her care, I started to heal. A few days after the surgery, I was finally able to get out of bed. The doctor told me to take short, slow walks to regain my strength. My parents had stepped out, my mom to get lunch, my dad to refill my water pitcher. So I was making my way carefully down the hospital corridor alone. And then I saw them. At the far end of the hall, Chloe was helping Liam walk, his arms slung over her shoulder. They both froze when they saw me. After a long, silent moment, Chloe spoke, her voice thick with guilt. "Ethan, Liam was in a car accident. I had to be here with him." She looked at me and my hospital gown. "I can't believe you're in the same hospital. What happened? Are you really sick?" I had no energy for this. I turned to go back to my room, but she lunged forward and grabbed my arm. "What is with this attitude?" she hissed, her grip tightening. "I'm your wife. Don't I even have a right to know why you're in the hospital?" I tried to pull away, but she held on, her nails digging into my skin. I snapped. I raised my free hand and slapped her across the face. "You don't get to call yourself my wife, Chloe." The slap seemed to break something in her. Her eyes wild with fury, she squeezed my arm harder. "Why don't I? I'll tell you something, Ethan Hayes, when we divorce, I'm taking the company. I'm taking everything. I am. Go ahead. Take it." A voice boomed from behind me. It was my dad, holding the water pitcher. He gently pulled me away from her. "We don't want a damn thing from you." Chloe stared at me, her hand still outstretched, her mouth open. Behind her, Liam chose that exact moment to collapse theatrically to the floor. "Chloe, I don't feel so good," he groaned. But for the first time, Chloe didn't turn to him. Her eyes, wide and red, were locked on me. My dad had no time for her drama. Worried about my condition, he put a steadying arm around me and led me back to my room. Later that evening, My mom was setting out dinner on my bedside table when there was a knock on the door. A moment later, Chloe walked in. "Mom, Dad," she said softly. "I came to see Ethan." My father's face hardened. "I think you mean Mr. and Mrs. Hayes," he said, his voice dripping with ice. "We're not your family." Chloe flinched. Behind her, her own parents appeared in the doorway, their faces etched with apology. Her mother forced a smile, while her father wrung his hands. "Ethan, we heard what happened," Mr. Davis began. "It's all Chloe's fault. We've already given her a piece of our mind. She knows she was wrong. We're so sorry for the pain she's caused you." My mom scoffed and was about to retort, but I placed a hand on her arm. I looked calmly at Mr. and Mrs. Davis. "Sir, ma'am, Chloe and I have been together for a long time. You know exactly how she's treated me." I paused, letting the words hang in the air. "But I'm not interested in rehashing the past. Let's just meet at the courthouse tomorrow morning at 8. We can sign the papers then." Chloe's face went white. She rushed to my bedside and dropped to her knees. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I didn't know the tumor was real," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "Please don't do this. Don't divorce me. I can't live without you." Actual tears streamed down her cheeks. I let out a short, sharp laugh. "You can't live without me? Chloe, when you called me petty at our wedding, you didn't seem to love me then. When you took Liam on our honeymoon, you didn't seem to love me then. But now that I'm divorcing you, suddenly you can't live without me?" I shook my head. "Your love is cheap." Her mother, hearing this, slapped her daughter on the arm, though it was more for show than punishment. She tried to take my hand, but I pulled it away. Unfazed, she continued, her voice full of remorse. "Ethan, she was wrong. She truly was. But she's always just seen Liam as a brother. You know that. It takes a lifetime to find someone you want to marry. You and Chloe have been through so much to get here. It's not easy." She took a deep breath. "How about this? You forgive her this one time. I promise you, if anything like this ever happens again, the house, the cars, all of her shares in the company, everything goes to you. She'll walk away with nothing. You have my word." Mrs. Davis was the true power in their family. Her word was bond. Chloe, still on her knees, looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen. "Ethan, I promise. From now on, I'll cut Liam out of my life completely. I swear I'll never contact him again. Please, just give me one more chance." My parents started to protest, but I squeezed their hands to quiet them. From my bag, I pulled out a folder. Inside was a new agreement drafted by my lawyer. It was a post-nuptial contract. In the event of a divorce, it stipulated that Chloe would forfeit all marital assets. "Fine," I said. "If Chloe signs this, I'll give her another chance." Her mother hesitated, but Chloe snatched the document out of my hand, pulled a pen from her purse, and signed her name with a trembling hand. "Ethan," she sobbed, holding it out to me. I signed it. I signed it. Please forgive me." I took the signed agreement from her, a faint smile on my lips. "Okay," I said. "I forgive you." After they had all left, my mom looked at me, her face full of concern. "Ethan, are you really getting back together with her?" "Honey, if you're worried about being alone, don't be. Your father and I can support you." Tears welled in my eyes. "Mom, don't worry," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I'm not getting back with her. I have a plan." My mom studied my face, and seeing the determination there, she simply nodded and let it go. In the weeks that followed, Chloe was true to her word. She blocked Liam on everything right in front of me. She became the perfect, attentive wife, catering to my every need, terrified I might relapse or change my mind. When I was discharged from the hospital, we went back to our home. Liam tried to contact her dozens of times, showing up at the door calling for block numbers. Each time, she turned him away. But I knew she couldn't keep it up forever. Her resolve was a dam with a crack in it, and I knew exactly how to break it. Soon, it was time for my first post-op checkup. 6 the night before my appointment, I looked at Chloe, who had been antsy all day. I feigned ignorance. "Chloe, my checkup is tomorrow. You're coming with me, right?" She immediately plastered on a reassuring smile. "Of course, Ethan. Don't worry. I'll be there." I nodded, satisfied. Later that night, while she was out running an errand, I used a burner app to send a text to Liam. "Looks like you're not that important to her after all. She promised she'd be with me at the hospital tomorrow. Said she was just playing you for a fool." He took the bait. After a flurry of angry, typo-ridden texts, he sent a final, terse reply. "You just wait. I knew he wouldn't disappoint me. And I was right. I won the bet. On the day of my checkup, Chloe never showed up at the hospital. Instead, a photo of her and Liam, locked in a passionate kiss in the parking garage of his apartment building, was trending on Twitter. Chloe and I had built our company, Ember Collective, from the ground up. While her family had provided some seed money, most of our success came from our own hard work. In the early days, when we were struggling, we had leaned heavily on our love story as a marketing tool. We were the college sweethearts who built an empire together. Our relationship was our brand. Now, that brand was toxic. The picture went viral. The public backlash was immediate and brutal. People who had once admired her now called her a backstabber, accusing her of using me to get to the top only to discard me once she'd made it. I ignored the online storm. I just sent her a screenshot of the divorce appointment I had booked at the courthouse. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Be there. She didn't reply. When I got home that night, I found her in the living room. The lights were off, casting the room in shadows. She was curled up on the floor by the coffee table, which was littered with empty bottles of wine and whiskey. She looked up as I walked in, her eyes red-rimmed and hollow. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "You knew this would happen, didn't you?" I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "You're the one who signed the agreement, Chloe. You're the one who ran to him. What does any of this have to do with me?" A desperate, pleading look filled her eyes. "Ethan, I know I messed up, but we've been together for so long. You know I never really crossed that line with him. I never cheated on you. You love me. I know," I said, my voice calm, and even as I recited her own delusions back to her. "I know you and Liam were just drama, never the real thing. I know that for you it was just a thrill, and that deep down, you always loved me." With every word I spoke, a flicker of hope returned to her eyes. By the end, she was looking at me with raw, desperate longing. "My love, you do know," she breathed. "So, can we just—" I let her hang on that hope for a beat longer before I cut the rope. No, the light in her eyes died. "It's over, Chloe. The post-nup you signed gives me everything. You walk away with nothing. I'll let that sink in. However, if you show up tomorrow and sign the divorce papers without a fight, I'll reconsider the asset division. I'll even let you keep the company." I leaned against the doorframe. "But if you make this difficult, I will take you to court with this agreement, and I promise you, you won't get a single penny." She stared at me in disbelief, as if she couldn't comprehend the words coming from my mouth. "Ethan, you can't be serious." I gestured to the bottles on the table. "You know me, Chloe. When I make up my mind, I don't change it." A bitter laugh escaped her lips. She fell back, her head hitting the hardwood floor with a soft thud. "You don't understand, Ethan," she mumbled, staring at the ceiling. "When I was a kid, my parents were so strict. They never let me have friends. Liam was the only one who ever paid attention to me. That's why." She began to ramble, a pathetic, tear-filled confession of her long, codependent history with him. I wasn't interested. I went to my room, took a shower, and went to bed. The next morning, she was waiting for me by the door. As much as she hated it, she knew she had no other choice. 7 the moment the clerk stamped our divorce certificate and handed it to me, I felt a profound sense of release, as if a massive weight had been lifted from my soul. I turned and walked out of the courthouse without a backward glance at Chloe. Just as I reached the exit, she caught up to me and grabbed my wrist. I looked down at her hand, then up at her face. She looked awful, pale, haggard, her eyes pleading. "Ethan, please," she begged. "Just give me one more chance. I can fix this. I know I can." I pulled my arm free. "Fix what, Chloe?" I asked, my voice light, almost cheerful. "We're divorced. What chances are left?" She opened her mouth to say more, but I was already gone. I kept my word. I let her have the company. Then I booked a flight to New Orleans, the city I had once dreamed of exploring with her on a different kind of trip. I thought it would be bittersweet, but being there alone was incredible. I wandered through the French Quarter, ate beignets at Café du Monde, listened to jazz and smoky bars, and saw a part of the country I'd never seen before. For the first time in years, I felt completely, utterly free. I came back 2 months later, just as I had predicted, without me to manage the operations and strategy, and with our brand's reputation in tatters. Ember Collective was on the brink of bankruptcy. I waited for the stock to hit rock bottom. Then, through a holding company, I bought it all back for pennies on the dollar. She had absorbed the full force of the public relations disaster. I got the company back, clean and cheap. The first time I saw her again was in the CEO's office. My old office. This time, I wasn't walking in as her husband or her business partner. I was the new owner. "Ms. Davis," I said, closing the door behind me. "It's been a while." She looked like a ghost. The 2 months had not been kind to her. The confident, arrogant woman I knew was gone, replaced by someone small and defeated. "Ethan," she started. "It's Mr. Hayes now." I corrected her. A storm of emotions, anger, shame, regret, passed over her face before settling into weary resignation. As per my instructions, she cleared out her desk and was gone within 3 days. Under my leadership, the company stabilized and began to grow again. To fully rehabilitate our public image, I made the difficult decision to anonymously leak some of the evidence I had collected, the taunting videos Liam had sent me, the hotel receipts from their honeymoon, the final nail in their coffin. The internet, which had already turned on them, became a lynch mob. Liam was branded a homewrecker, his social media flooded with thousands of hateful comments. Chloe got even worse. Her phone number and personal information were leaked. The harassment was so intense, she was forced to go completely offline, a digital ghost. The isolation, I heard, took its toll. She developed severe anxiety, becoming a recluse who was afraid to leave her house or see another person. The scandal even consumed her parents. An anonymous tip, fueled by online sleuths, led to an investigation into her father's business dealings. Evidence of bribery and corruption surfaced, and both of her parents were forced into early, disgraceful retirement from their civil service jobs. Meanwhile, my company soared. Our revenue tripled. My net worth skyrocketed. I never saw Chloe again after she left the office. I only heard rumors that her mental health had completely collapsed. As for Liam, his family had always been propped up by Chloe's money and influence. With her fall from grace, his world crumbled. To add insult to injury, I had filed a lawsuit to recoup all the money Chloe had spent on him during our marriage. It wasn't a fortune, but it was more than enough to bankrupt him. At our company's annual winter gala, the venue chosen was the very same luxury hotel where I had held my wedding reception. This time, I wasn't the groom being humiliated. I was the CEO being celebrated. After I finished my speech and was stepping down from the stage, I saw her. It was snowing outside, a bitter wind whipping through the city. She was standing just beyond the hotel's main entrance, dressed in clothes that were thin and worn. She was a world away from the immaculately dressed woman who had stood in the same spot and called me petty. Old employees recognized her and began to whisper and point. When she saw me, her eyes lit up with a wild, desperate hope. She surged forward, trying to get past the velvet ropes. Ethan, it's me," she cried out, her voice raw. Security guards moved to block her path. She fought against them, reaching a trembling hand out toward me. "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Please, Ethan, forgive me. Just forgive me. I didn't go to her." But I did, out of some lingering fragment of our shared past. Asked my assistant to call her parents and tell them to come pick her up. 12 when the gala was over, I sent my driver home and drove myself down the winding mountain road from the hotel. Traveling the same route as my wedding night, my world was an entirely different place. I was almost home when I saw a moving truck parked in front of the house across the street. A new neighbor. As I was getting out of my car, a young woman with a bright smile walked over. "Hi there," she said cheerfully. "I'm your new neighbor. I just moved in. Would it be weird to ask for your number? Just in case of an emergency or, to borrow a cup of sugar?"